Well, of course, there are soldiers, our very own soldiers who've passed away out in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo then. And it's going to be really significant to kind of get, is the communication as clear on all sides? Yesterday we got word that the soldiers are meant to come home today, those that have passed away, of course, then. So the repatriation of those bodies. Is that actually said to happen? Because then the Commander-in-Chief, that's President Cyril Ramaphosa, is meant to be there to receive those bodies too, if I'm not mistaken. Is that actually going to happen? Jeff Dubazana is the chief negotiator then at the South African National Defence Union, who joins us now. Jeff, thank you so much for the time this afternoon. What are you hearing? Are those bodies indeed on their way home, or at least here?
Arabile, look, as Sandu, we don't have any reason to doubt what the general said yesterday when questioned about the repatriation of our soldiers. We are waiting for them to land at Waterkloof.
So with that...
Up until unless something else happens.
So has there been any communication with yourselves, though, other than what you then heard in that SCOPA meeting that happened yesterday?
No, there hasn't been any further communication except the response and the assurance that we got from the general, from the SCOPA, from the briefing yesterday. All
right. If we talk about just the situation then out in Goma, what is your sense of how proceedings have gone, particularly what the soldiers were told upon deployment to the east of the DRC in Goma, and then as to what exactly their mission is as they've arrived and where they are right now?
Look, their mandate, it's clearly stated, it's out there. When this mission was conceived, I think it was in 2023. Among other things, it was to neutralize negative. It's an offensive, mandate, meaning it being peaceful. At the same time, is there to, among other things, destroy the M23. So that mission, that mandate is very clear, The problem that is there is that not all the necessary support was accorded to those soldiers who were deployed to attain the mandate of the mission.
What sort of support are we looking at here that you say is missing?
For instance, the air cover, let me give you a typical example. When the rebels attacked us on the 22nd, 23rd, we in fact had, intelligence way before that, a week or two before that there was mobilization by the rebels towards our camp. Surely a military commander would have known that in such a situation, what was going to be needed in support of those ground forces at Sake was air cover in case the attack was carried out, Now the question is, why was the air cover not, deployed in support of our ground forces at Sake? That still needs to be answered. It hasn't been as yet answered.
So do you feel that
whether it's by SADC or by our own department, that answer is still not yet answered.
So do you feel there is perhaps a lack of, or maybe insufficient intelligence there when it comes to the situation as it stands and what exactly is needed for what is clearly an offensive by our own soldiers too?
No, everything is clear. The soldiers there understand the mandate under which they were deployed from this mission. They know what it is expected of them, where they are. As I've said, the problem is with the lack of the proper support for the complete, for the carrying out of this whole mission.
Do you know if maybe that is about to change in any way, particularly in the sense of them going to provide that kind of support that now is necessary? Because, of course, soldiers still remain in the area.
What we know as Sandu Arabil is that the root cause that led to lack of proper support for this mission and other things within the department itself. It's as a result of the defunding of the department. Now, if that mission was to be properly resourced, it would need a decisive leader to, allocate funds in relation to this budget. In relation to this mission, so that there should be, proper support for this mission.
It's also going to be about future missions then as well. And as you made note of, defunding the department is ultimately the critical factor to all of this. Are you overall happy with how your soldiers have been treated, particularly with those, as you say, they know their mandate, but are you happy with particularly the ones that have then passed away, the entire process in which you understand and know that this is when they'll then be repatriated home, when they'll arrive? Because obviously that also then needs to be communicated to those to the families of those who've passed away.
Arabile, that is why as a union we are calling for some sort of an inquiry, an open inquiry around this whole mission. The reasons are simply that we are not satisfied with the way our soldiers, our members have been treated throughout this mission. We would not want to be saying things that are going to be, different from what the leadership of the defense is saying. Even though we know certain things in a particular way, would want those who are deployed there in the DRC to come back, in that inquiry to witness and give information as to how they were treated from the onset of the mission to whenever they'll be coming back.
Yeah, so that debrief is going to be very critical and important. Do you know in terms of timelines when exactly soldiers are meant to return from this deployment overall?
According to the mandate of the SADC, that mission is supposed to end in December, this coming December. Now, given what has developed, now what we are facing now in the DRC, one would wonder as to whether it would come December, the mission would fold or not.
Do you think there's enough communication between the different parties here, whether it be between parliament or government, the SANDF itself, the soldiers on the ground, the correct amount of intelligence being shared? Despite everybody, like you said, despite the soldiers knowing their mandate, it's very critical that we still know where each and every person is, because they need to be accounted for. Is enough communication being had between the respective parties?
That is why, as a union, we are calling for this inquiry, because among other things, that there's lack of communication, and if there's communication, it is not clear communication, or either there are conflicting, communications, and as a result, as a union and the general public itself of South Africa, it's left with a lot of questions rather than having answers, Now, it is as a result of that it would be better if those who are involved in this mission, who are in the DRC, come back and tell everyone as to exactly what happened there. It shouldn't be a question of Sandu saying this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Even though we are sure, because our members are informing us as to exactly what's happening there. Or obviously, if we are to tell the nation as to what's happening, according to what our members are telling us, that there would be, someone would simply deny that. Now, it is only best that our members come back and they tell us through that inquiry as to exactly what was happening, what happened in there.
Is your call then for the soldiers to come back immediately or upon completion of this mission?
Look, there's no need for them to come back immediately. And even if we're to push for them to come back immediately, the situation as it's prevailing currently, it doesn't allow for that, you know. But most important, if we were to call for them to come back immediately, the question would then be why, in the first instance, did we allow them to be deployed? You know, that's one. But secondly, the integrity of the country itself, it's at stake here. What message are we going to be giving to Africa itself and the world by calling our members?
Yeah.
Were we defeated by the rebels?
Well, and I suppose that's actually the big question mark that everyone has right now is, you know, did we have a real need for it? And that's why there's so many questions, and that's why it's set to be debated again on Monday, following on from that Scopa meeting then that happened yesterday in Parliament as well. We'll certainly find out, and we certainly hope that the troops indeed are able to come home, especially the bodies of those that were slain in this war happening, of course, in DRC. Jeff Dubazana, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it here on Newzroom Afrika, South African National Defence Union's chief negotiator, joining us there, just to unravel just a few elements of how the union feels things have been handled so far, saying indeed an investigation or an inquiry perhaps is needed in this situation. Now, in a moment, we get some analysis on the situation in the DRC. Just a little bit more, shall we? Why not? Do stay with us.